The movie is about a future where a German company, E.ON, has created a technology that lets people transfer their lifespan to others, if they're compatible. This tech allows those in need of money to sell years of their life, which makes them age faster. Max, E.ON's top donation manager, convinces people to sell their age. One day, he persuades a teenager from a migrant family to sell 15 years of his life. Max explains how he sold 5 years of his life to afford college, and suggests that the money could help the teenager's family start a business, as their chances of getting legal paperwork are slim. After closing the deal, Max returns to the company building, facing protesters outside who are against E.ON's technology due to its contribution to social and economic disparity. Inside, Max receives an award for being the best agent of the year during a special ceremony where the company's founder, Sophie Thiessen, gives a speech about their work's importance. Meanwhile, a man from the anti-E.ON organization, Adam Group, disguised as an employee, causes a disturbance in one of E.ON's clinics, shooting several people before leaving a graffiti symbol and escaping. Later, Sophie, along with her guards Kaya and Nowak, watch a video from Adam's leader Lilith, who promises more chaos. Max returns home to celebrate his award with his wife, Elena, with a special dinner. They dream of having children, even though they haven't finished paying for their apartment. The next day, they visit Elena's parents, where her father expresses his disapproval of Max's job. Elena prevents an argument, but Max wishes she would defend him. When they return home, they find their apartment on fire. They lose all their belongings and money, which was kept at home. The insurance company refuses to cover the incident, as it was reportedly caused by a candle, considered negligence. Elena insists she always extinguishes all candles before leaving, but they can't dispute the official report. To make matters worse, Max discovers that Elena had offered 40 years of her life as collateral for a bank loan, which she hadn't told him about. Max tries to offer his own years instead, but is rejected due to a lack of compatible recipients. Max is puzzled because he had previously donated, but the recipient has recently passed away. When they leave the insurance company, Elena is arrested by the police to prevent her from leaving the country. Max promises to find another way to repay the bank, and seeks Sophie's help, who assures him she'll see what she can do. Later, Sophie meets with the company's shareholders, who are frustrated with the resources spent on DNA compatibility checks, as it means some people may never get the chance to buy extra years, and genetic matches are rare. They accuse Sophie of being too biased. A few days later, Max's lawyer informs him that Sophie is ignoring their calls. With no other options, Max tries to visit Elena at the clinic, but is told he must wait until the procedure is over. In his desperation, Max attempts to reach Elena, but is restrained by Kaya and her team. Meanwhile, Elena is prepared for the procedure. Hearing the contract read out loud causes her to panic, and she struggles against the doctors before being sedated and connected to a machine that transfers 38 years to an anonymous recipient. After the procedure, Max brings Elena home, but she remains quiet. In the following days, Elena ages quickly until she looks like an elderly woman, and she has difficulty looking at her reflection in the mirror. Their relationship becomes tense and uncomfortable, and despite Max's attempts to comfort and support Elena, she becomes aloof. One morning, Max is notified of his promotion and pay raise at the company, but it feels pointless now. Frustrated, Max tries to confront Sophie, but Kaya stops him. Sophie ignores him and leaves in her car, but Max notices she's looking younger. Later at home, Max tries to comfort Elena, insisting he still loves her, but Elena believes it's out of pity and asks him to leave her alone. After Max leaves, Elena experiences intense abdominal pain and starts bleeding. Meanwhile, Max goes for a walk and is approached by a girl selling illegal substances, which he quickly rejects. A few hours later, Elena is in the hospital due to her pain. Max is shocked to learn that Elena had been pregnant before the procedure, and the bleeding was a miscarriage because her aged body couldn't sustain a pregnancy. Exhausted from their strained life, Elena decides to move in with her parents. Max promises to find a way to reverse the procedure, but Elena's father scolds him, reminding him that this is the system he helped create. In his desperation for a solution, Max finds the girl from the park and demands information, knowing that she had her procedure done illegally because E.ON would never perform the procedure on children. The girl gives him a contact who informs him of an underground group performing age transplant surgeries in Lithuania. He's instructed to pick up a burner phone and fake passports in a shady neighborhood and needs to locate the recipient who received Elena's time. Afterward, Max hides in a hotel and plans to kidnap Sophie. Suspecting her youthful appearance and refusal to help him, are connected. For the next few days, he follows Sophie until one afternoon. He finds her alone in a cemetery with no guards around. After hiding his face, he approaches the now youthful-looking Sophie, who starts screaming for help and runs away. Max quickly catches up with Sophie and incapacitates her with a taser. He then paints an A on a grave to make it look like the Adam Group is responsible. Max then picks up Elena from her workplace and convinces her to trust him. They go to an abandoned building, where he's keeping an illegally obtained van and a bound Sophie. Elena thinks this is madness, but Max persuades her to come along, stating that this is their only chance to rebuild their lives and start a family. At the cemetery, Kaya and Nowak investigate the situation. Nowak uses security camera footage to trace the car Max used. All purchases were made with a fake account, but Nowak traces all the purchases back to Max's real account. Now they'll be looking for him. Nowak contemplates calling the police, but Kaya refuses. By the time they reach the abandoned building, the couple has already left. As Elena and Max make their way to the harbor, Kaya and Nowak plan a new operation to catch them, this time with police assistance. Nowak explains how the couple met. Max was assigned to Elena as her donation manager, but they fell in love and got married during the course of the sale. Nowak admits he feels sympathy for desperate people, but Kaya rebukes him and reveals she's actually 64 years old. She dislikes altering her body like this, but she does it for her job because she owes Sophie a lot. At the harbor, Max and Elena manage to board a ship without much trouble, but they're caught on a security camera, and Nowak gets their location. Every few hours, Max checks on Sophie and brings her food and drinks. She's kept inside a box with a bathtub, pretending to be cargo. In the evening, the couple observes a joyful family and dreams of their future family. Suddenly, a child points out some unusual lights at the shore, and Max and Elena realize the police are waiting for them in Lithuania. Thinking on his feet, Max decides to use the family to their advantage. When the police begin inspecting all the cars leaving the ship, Max's van comes out, but it's the family's father driving it under duress for Max. He pretends to be a delivery worker transporting a bathtub, but the police become suspicious because he seems very nervous. They ask to see the back of the van, where Sophie and Elena are hiding inside the bathtub. The police demand the man fully open the box, and when he hesitates, they ask him why he's so nervous. Through a Bluetooth earbud connected to his phone, Max instructs the man to say that he's nervous because he's never been held at gunpoint before. The leader of the operation notices his officer isn't handling his weapon well and lets the driver go to avoid being accused of misconduct. Then the wife arrives in her car with her baby, while Max is hidden in the back with the child held at gunpoint. The police find nothing wrong with her and let her pass. Both vehicles stop by the road later, and the family reunites. But before letting them go, Max destroys their phones and shoots one of their car's tires. Seeing the baby cry, Elena feels guilty. Then the couple leaves the van with Sophie still tied in the bathtub. A few hours later, they stop in the middle of the road so Sophie can empty her waste bucket. Now that she can talk, she explains she isn't Sophie. She's her daughter Marie. They just happen to look a lot alike now that her mother went through the procedure. Max doesn't believe her and searches the information on the internet, which says Sophie only had one daughter who died ages ago and whose grave she was visiting in the cemetery. Marie explains that to avoid media attention, she was kept out of the spotlight, but Max doesn't believe her and takes her back to the tub. However, Elena begins to have doubts. They find a deserted hotel where they decide to spend the night. Marie, who is allowed to be out, insists she isn't Sophie and expresses her disdain for her mother's work, claiming it's unethical and that she's on the couple's side. Elena argues with Max, who remains skeptical. He points out that even if Marie's story is true, she should still be a match for Elena because they share the same DNA. Elena is appalled by Max's intention to use a child and leaves the room. Marie requests a shower, so Max escorts her to the bathroom. As Marie explains that Sophie invented the age transplant method while trying to cure her sister, Max turns around to give her privacy, and Marie seizes the opportunity to strike him and escape. Marie immediately flees to the woods, where it's dark, and there's no signal for the stolen phone. She notices a light nearby, indicating she's being pursued, so she quickens her pace. However, when she attempts to cross what she thinks is a large puddle, it turns out to be a deep hole, and she starts sinking. Marie tries to hold onto a fallen tree and has no choice but to scream for help. Fortunately, the light turns out to be Elena, who quickly assists her. The women return to the hotel, and Marie finally gets her shower. When she undresses, Elena notices that she doesn't have the scars from the procedure, indicating she truly is Marie. Elena informs Max of this, but he explains that the skin probably regenerated during the procedure and reminds Elena that he's doing this so they can have a baby. He tells Elena she deserves better and kisses her, which then leads to a romantic encounter while a bound Marie can hear them from the tub. Meanwhile, Nowak tells Kaya that he has found the couple and they get ready to go after them. A few hours later, Elena and Max are abruptly woken up by several armed men. They are confronted by the Adam Group, who disarm Max before Lilith reveals herself. She confirms that the girl is Marie, not Sophie, and then takes the trio to an abandoned building. There, she reveals the shocking truth. Sophie had been seeking an age donor for herself, and that person happened to be Elena. Max had been sent by the company to manage the donation, but instead, he and Elena fell in love and got married. When Sophie needed the donation, she intentionally set their apartment on fire and had Max's friend killed to prevent him from donating his years. When Max accuses Lilith of being a murderer, she gives Elena a gun with only one bullet, telling her to kill Marie or end her own life. Elena cannot bring herself to do either and drops the gun. Lilith points out that everyone is against violence when it comes to their own lives, but have no problem allowing doctors to take life on their behalf. At that moment, Max's phone receives the location of an illegal clinic, which will be valid for 6 hours. If they want to make it in time, they will have to help Lilith in killing Sophie. When Kaya surrounds the building with her team, Max comes out, pretending that Adam isn't with them. He tells the team that only Sophie is allowed inside and that if anyone else tries to enter, Elena will shoot Marie. Sophie agrees to the terms, but before she can enter, Kaya realizes it's a trap. Nowak shoots Sophie, and Kaya kills Nowak. The Adam Group inside the building opens fire against Sophie's team. Max rushes back into the hotel, only to be injured by an explosion. After evading some guards, Max is captured by a rebel, but he manages to knock him out after a short fight. He then takes Elena and Marie and rushes them to the garage to escape. As Max tries to start the car, Marie reveals she has a gun and tries to shoot Elena, but it's unloaded. Elena is upset and knocks Marie unconscious. The trio escapes in the car, while Kaya finds out Nowak had been in contact with the rebels because he's part of the Adam Group. Later, Max confesses that he doesn't want to harm Marie because he doesn't want to be like Lilith. However, Elena forces Max out of the car by threatening to harm herself. After Max leaves, Elena drives to the illegal clinic where Marie is taken against her will and the procedure is performed. Meanwhile, Max joins a refugee camp after following a bus full of immigrants. The next morning, Marie is found walking by a truck driver who takes her back to the city. She is reunited with Sophie, who is alive and well because she had been wearing a bulletproof vest. Kaya announces she's quitting because she's tired of hurting people for business. In the following days, Marie starts to age rapidly, yet Sophie refuses to donate some of her years to her own daughter. A few months later, Max finds a young and pregnant Elena at the beach with a new husband. When she sees Max, she doesn't try to talk to him. Max returns to his new life, determined to bring Sophie down as a rebel with the Adam Group. And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our video. Watch the next recaps on the screen, and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing recaps. See you in the next one.